All right, so I got a flat tire. First thing I want to do is get the wheel off, and then I discover that the wheel moves on the axle a little bit too much for comfort. So while I have it off, I think I'm going to replace these bushings that are in this hub. So let's get that wheel off of there. And we'll get these 6 bolts out, get the hub out of there, and I can repair the hub. And then we'll get it back together. We'll get some new tires on here and back on the road. So we've got bronze bushings pressed into this hub. There's one on either side. So we're going to get those removed, get new ones pressed in, and then we'll go over to the honing machine. Now you can either put a reamer through here, you could probably even cut it on a lathe if you wanted, or you could do like me and just hone them out and get them to fit on your axle so there's no wiggle. And spin really free, but no wiggle. So let's see if we can get that done. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to use this socket underneath so that the bushing has somewhere to go when I'm pushing on it. That right on there. And then I also made this special tool here because I do a lot of these. So I just made up a tool so I could push the bushings through. You could use a socket or anything if you don't have one like that. So let's get these out. And there we have it. Now these are bronze. There is kind of a special bronze. They're called oilite or 841 bronze. And they're impregnated with oil. There's actually oil in the material, and as these spin, they heat up. When they get too warm, they'll release that oil and start lubricating. So you don't want to use the wrong material. You want to make sure you get 841 because you need that lubrication on that axle. So let's get some new ones and get ready to put those in. Okay, 2 brand new ones ready to go. All right, so I wasn't real happy with the fit, so I pushed it back out. I got a piece of shim stock here. It's about 2 thousandths thick, so I'm probably going to get a real nice hard press fit now. But I want to stick that in the bore. The bushing in, and now it doesn't want to go, which is good. Let's get that driver in there and give it a good firm press. All right. Now it's not going anywhere, so I'm going to take a knife and cut that right off and get rid of that. Now it's not going anywhere. So another new one. And that one went in much better, a little tighter. So now we got to try it. You can take it over to the axle on your car, but I bought a 1-foot piece of axle bar for testing because I don't feel like running back and forth to the car when I do this. So they're a little small, which is good because you want to be able to bring them to the size you need. So you can either run a reamer, you could bore it on a lathe, take a couple thousandths off, maybe even hone it out in the lathe, or I have a honing machine, so I'm just going to take some there's a mandrel with some stones on them. We'll go in there and we'll just sand it out until it fits absolutely perfect. So let's get that. Okay, here's our mandrel. You can see there's a stone on there. Part will go on, and as I push the pedal, it expands the hone. It'll sand material out of there until I get to the size I'm looking for. Okay, now there's absolutely zero wiggle on that, but it turns very, very freely. Absolutely beautiful. So that is a perfect fit on a brand new axle. If your axle's not so great, it might be a little loose, but your hub will be absolutely perfect. You should probably try to fit it to your axle in case your axle is worn a little bit. You might want these to be a little bit bigger. So I know I do it this way for a shortcut, but if you want to do it and get it right on the money with your axle, then you're best to go back to the car, test fit, do a little more, test fit. If you're reaming it, you get one shot and that's it. So it's no big deal. When you're going to ream it, you're going to get that size and that's going to be it. So so we got the hub repaired. Let's get it back on the wheel. Give it a little test. Now I'd like to tell you that I like to tighten my bolts with wrenches instead of the drill because you get a better feel for how tight they are and what's going on and all that. But the fact is my drill's dead. So we're tightening with wrenches. And there we go. Oh yeah, much better. Just a real slight wiggle, which will be fine. So no big deal. Let's get a tire on this thing and new inner tube and see if we can check the rim and figure out why this thing failed. Also too, this might be a good time if you have bronze bushings in a axle bushings in a housing here that slip up in your axle. Now's a good time to check those and make sure those are. It's the same bushing, same process, sizing it, and now's a good time to do that. Also inspect your axle and get her all checked out and ready for the kids, for the grandkids to ride. Okay, we got that hub fixed. Put a tire on here. I've been having a lot of problems with this wheel, getting a lot of flats. And I suspect it's probably due to the fact that I have a 40-plus-year-old tire on here. And I'm kind of a weirdo for originality, so it kind of bites you in the butt once in a while, but that's what happens. I'm going to put some brand new tires and tubes on and have to kiss these original tires goodbye. And there you go, another valve stem problem. So I think what I'm going to do is look inside of here and look for sharp edges and see why I keep ripping valve stems off. Hate to see them go, but they're in pretty bad shape now. They've been on there for probably 5 or 6 years, and they're just shot. They were pretty decent when I got them, but they're dry, and after having so many flat tires, they probably got all cracked and screwed up. So anyway, that's it. They gotta go. All right, so I've looked at the wheel. I can't really find any reason why I would be getting flat tires. This top edge here of this hole seems a little sharp, so I'm just going to put a little counter bore on there. Now I'm going to take a file and just kind of round it over. Make sure I don't have any sharp edges or anything like that. So this is 130C made by Scotch. It's a thick rubber tape, and I use this in all the wooden wheels instead of the rubber band or the rim liner or whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is stretch that in here, and I'm going to put one tight strip all the way around just to get it started. And then I'll take one all the way around and just stretch it enough so it fits in there without coming up the sides. And I have to do that between my legs because this is one of those three-handed jobs. And I'll look pretty foolish on camera trying to do it. Now when you get to the end here and you want to break this off, push it into the tape and stretch it and let it snap off. And it should fuse itself to the wrap underneath it if you put a good stretch on it. So there we have it. I got that wheel lined. Now I'll just take a razor blade, poke the hole where the stem comes out, and we'll get a new tire on here. Okay, now I think I'm gonna try one of these heavy-duty Goodyear tubes, and I find these on eBay a while. These are thicker, 50% thicker than a standard bicycle tube, so they're a little bit heavier duty. You can find them 30%, 50, and I even had a few back a couple of years ago that were 80% thicker, and they seem to hold up a little better. Some have been in my cars for 5 years, and for some reason some of them only last a couple hours. So I suspect it's probably more of a rim problem than it is and a tire problem than it is a tube problem. So we're going to get these in there, and then we're going to put, I found these tires, and these are found these at electricscooter.com, and they're basically for an e-bike, but a lot of guys are buying them 2.5 wide, and I really don't like the looks of that, so I searched these down. These are the tires that have the original size. They're 16 by 1 1/8. So they are the original size that come on these wheels. And they have the heavy duty tread and heavy duty sidewalls. So you don't have to worry about them scrub them up. When you go into a turn, they'll scrub under. You don't have to worry about with these. These seem like pretty heavy duty, and they're only 20 bucks a piece. Okay, so let's get this tire on. Got our direction arrow here, so I want to make sure the tire's rolling in the right direction. So I'm going to get one side of it on the rim, and I'm going to put the tube in it. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to blow up my tube. Just enough air to make sure that it's the right fit. That's all you need right there. Let's get that tube in there. Tube's in. Okay, now we'll just get a little bit of air in it. Take it over to the car, we'll put it on the axle, we'll give it a spin and see if the tire is on concentric and doesn't wobble. And if it is, we'll straighten that out and get the tire back on. Okay, let's get this wheel mounted. And if I take a wheel off or put one on, I always put a light coat of grease in that bushing. And I know it's oil impregnated and it will oil when it needs to and all that good stuff, but my brain won't let me do that. I have to put a little oil or grease or something on it. And every spring before the season, I will do the same. Let's find the high spots. All right, that's about as good as it gets. Running pretty decent. Get our washer back on. Cotter pin back on. And of course, we want to make sure when we bend this pin that we bend it enough so that we can get our hubcap on. Now I bought about 8 of these online from a guy. And it's only taken me about 3 years. But I finally sandblasted them. And it's time for the fire engine to have hubcaps again. So as I change these tires, I'm going to get the caps back on. And that's about it. Okay, now if you're doing a front wheel, you want to take a look at these bearings. They're put in there, they press in. They can be loose, not a big deal. There's also a tube inside in the middle. And you can just see that. That keeps the bushings from, or the bearings, from being over tightened and smashed and tightening up, causing wear. But if you're doing a front wheel, check these bearings out too. And make sure that your spindle, isn't tore up. That you have some kind of a shim that keeps the bearing from jamming right up against there. And make sure it turns free, that your bearings aren't worn out, and just give it a quick once over. If you find that the bearings are worn out, they're so cheap. They're about $5 a pair if you buy cheap ones, or if you buy really good ones, they're probably less than 10. So if they even look bad, if they're loose, if you suspect that something's up with them, just toss them and get a new pair. And you can just tap them out with a screwdriver and tap new ones in. So they're real easy to replace, but they're so cheap, it's crazy not to do it. Okay, and there we go. The old girl's got some new shoes. Relatively inexpensive, but also a decent quality tire that won't give you trouble like those cheap Walmart tires and all of those. And she's finally got hubcaps after 5, maybe even more years. So there you have it. Get those wheels fixed up, get those bushings repaired, make sure your front bearings are good, and if the back wheel wobbles, the one with the drive wheel, one with the keyway, you can probably slip because that tire, that doesn't move on the axle. It moves with the axle. So if you had to, you could probably take some of that shim stock. And if it really wobbles bad, you could probably shim that. And if you can get it spinning true, you probably would be okay with doing that. I wouldn't put too much in there, maybe 1 or 2 of them, and get that thing tightened up. But you definitely don't want to run it while it's flopping around. So make sure you do that. Make sure everything's good, and we're ready to go.